Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new race creation of mine called the North Loop. So the description for this is as follows. In the hills north of Los Santos lies a racing circuit. Technically a collection of public roads, its difficulty, likeness and mythical status among racers around the world is rivaled only by that of the Nordschleife in Germany. It carves a merciless and demanding route through the hills that will have you gripping at the steering wheel for dear life. A perfect lap around here won't come easy, but just making it around safely is an achievement in itself. Good luck out there. So that was obviously the description, and this, what you're seeing on the screen now, is the first kind of race that I did with crew members. And you know, as you can see, I started at the back just to make it a little bit more interesting. So the last real race creation of mine, I guess you could say, was the Los Santos Grand Prix circuit. You know, I mean, the races that I've done since then have all been variations of the Grand Prix circuit, you know, the inner loop, the outer loop, the upper loop. So the last real original creation that I had was the Grand Prix circuit, and that was quite a while ago. And I did say that, you know, I wasn't really looking into making any more races after that because I wasn't really that bothered. You know, I'd kind of done what I needed to do. But then I came to a little bit of a problem when it came to the Broughy Verified series. So in Broughy Verified 1, 2 and 3, those playlists, I've started with a variation of the Los Santos Grand Prix circuit, and I've finished up with the main Los Santos Grand Prix circuit. So there's always been a set number of user created races in between two races of my own that were the same on both playlists for PS3 and 360. So for the next Broughy Verified one for the 16 players, I'm going to start with the Los Santos Grand Prix circuit. But I wanted something to end the playlist quite nicely, so it would be a nice finish to the playlist. It would be the same on both PS3 and 360. I didn't want to just put the Grand Prix circuit in there again, and I was kind of having a bit of trouble finding a race to fit that description. So I came up with the idea of putting the Nürburgring on. You know, the Rockstar Verified Nürburgring race was the thing that I decided would go at the bottom of the playlist and would be kind of the final race to play. But after playing it a couple of times, I decided that it wasn't really good enough. So I actually, you know, I do like the Nürburgring. I like the sort of the track that it carves out in the hills. But I had to ask myself, if I was verifying this race, would I do it? And the answer really was just no. And you know, that's for a number of reasons. The track itself isn't too bad. I quite like the roads that it uses. But there are a number of things about the Rockstar Verified Nürburgring race that I just don't like. For example, you know, the stupid props, you know, the ugly blue fences, I really hate. There's buses, you know, that sort of thing. It loses the immersion of a race feel, really. It doesn't feel like a racetrack. You know, there's big ugly blue fences in certain areas to stop people flying off the track. Well, for me, you know, you should have a certain level of track knowledge, really. If people are going to fly off the track, then that's their own fault. Don't put a big ugly blue fence up there to stop that from happening. And you know, the one thing that I really dislike about it is that it's trying to be the Nürburgring. You know, the real Nürburgring doesn't look anything like the Rockstar Verified version. It doesn't look anything like it. It's totally different. Yes, it has the same kind of feel to it, but it doesn't look anything like it, really. So I don't like races that try to be other races, really. You know, when you see Formula 1 created tracks or all recreated on GTA, the problem I have with them is just none of them ever feel like the real thing. And when you play Forza and Gran Turismo and things like that, and you've played on the real things, they just don't feel anything like it, and that just ruins it for me. I much prefer original races. And you know, I don't mind races that are inspired by real life racetracks, but when they're actually trying to be another real life racetrack and it just doesn't work, it just ruins it for me. So that's one thing. You know, another thing that I don't like about the Nürburgring. The fiddly bits in the sort of section where all the housing is near the end of the lap, I don't really like. You know, it loses the nice feel of the mountain roads because you're going back into sort of the suburbs. So that's not very good. Also, another thing, the fact that it's 16 players and the first corner is one of the tightest corners you'll ever see on any racetrack, and it's just totally ridiculous how it could be 16 players all going into that first corner. So yeah, you know, that the Nürburgring was going to be the final race of the next Broughy Verified playlist, but after playing it some more, I thought it wasn't good enough, really. It just wasn't good enough to get into that playlist. It might be Rockstar Verified, but it's not good enough to be Broughy Verified. So I thought I would create my own. Now, this does share a lot of the same roads with the Nürburgring, obviously the Rockstar verified version of the Nürburgring, but I will show you that in detail in the next race. But as you can see on the screen, this section here, there's only one road that you can really use, so you can't get around using the same road as other tracks around this area. A lot of people have made their own versions of the Nürburgring. It just so happened that one of them was verified by Rockstar, but there are others, and they all use the same roads, and there's other tracks that aren't Nürburgring revolved around the Nürburgring, and they use the same roads as well. There's not a lot you can do because it's the only roads available, but mine, I feel, feels more like a real racetrack. Like, as you can see there with the tyre barriers and things like that, it doesn't have ugly blue fences and things like that. It feels much more like a proper racetrack and much more like what you would expect from a race from me. Now, it also has a looping section as well, which has become synonymous with races that I make, but I will talk about that in a little while when we see it on the actual screen. So yeah, this is basically my ode to the Nürburgring. The real life race in Germany has inspired this track, and it's basically my version of that. Now, the name of it is the North Loop. Now, the full version of the Nürburgring is called the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and Nordschleife means North Loop, so that's where that name comes from. It's also obviously north of Los Santos. It's a big loop north of Los Santos. That's where the name comes from as the North Loop. So, this is the track. As you can see there, it looks very similar in terms of layout to the Rockstar verified version, but this is one of the bigger changes of it, and this is using the first part of the learning curve circuit. So obviously, if you are aware of the Rockstar created learning curve circuit, you will be a dab hand at this part of the track. It is entering it from a different direction, but it's also quite a wide entry, and we start in quite a wide section of the track as well. So it's well suited for 16 players right at the start. I mean, you can't get around people having problems because there's idiots in the race, but it gives everybody every chance of actually getting around the first corner first, and it gives a nice wide road to start off the race, which I think is a lot better than the first corner of the Rockstar verified Nürburgring, and it uses a section of the track that is a lot better than the suburban route that the proper Nürburgring, the Rockstar verified version, chooses. So obviously, we come here, and now on learning curve you would normally turn right, but on this track you turn left and go into the hilly section of this of the North Loop. So this section on the right here is exactly the same as the Rockstar verified Nürburgring, except we're going at it in a different direction. So in the Rockstar verified version, you're coming up this part of the track. I feel it is a lot better when you're going down it, and I've known that for quite a while because I've done it a lot in free roam, this section of road, and it just has a lovely feel to it. You can use the camber of the road to get you turned around. It's so nice when you hook up an apex and you just get that flow down the road. It feels much better and much nicer to drive, I would say, going this way than having to trundle up it at a snail's pace. So yeah, this is the same as the Nürburgring, the Rockstar verified Nürburgring, but it's in a different direction, and for me, I feel it's a much better direction as well. Obviously, as you can see here, you can always make mistakes, and the description of getting around in one go makes sense. So yeah, as you'll see, it's quite an interesting race, this one, because I do come back through the pack and you'll see where I end up. But it's also quite an interesting race because it starts off quite bright, starts off during the daytime, and it's really nice and bright, but as you can see, the sun is starting to set, and the sun gradually comes down, and by the end of the race it's quite dark. So it kind of, as you can see, this is the next section of the track. I'll talk about that in a second, but this track for me would be perfect for an endurance race. For example, doing a 50-minute race where you're doing a full day-night cycle. I feel that would be a great use of this race, and I'll probably do that quite a few times because it feels so good. When the sun's going down, you get some brilliant views. It's got nice wide roads, things like that. It feels like a wonderful track when it's at different times of the day. And obviously, as you're coming up this section of road, you've got the river on your right, and you can hear the sound of the crashing waves to the right of you. If you've got surround sound or things like that, obviously you'll be able to hear it even better, and it just gives that lovely immersive feel to the racetrack, and it's something that I really enjoy. So obviously, once you've done that middle section, you come back basically to where the start line was, but you aren't that isn't a lap of the track, because that you've only done half of the track, and then you come back and you do basically exactly the same section that is in the normal Nürburgring, the Rockstar verified. Obviously you're coming at it from a different direction again, But yeah, the rest of this track from here all the way to sort of when you turn right at the very end is the same as the Rockstar verified Nürburgring, and there's not really a lot you can do to get around that. There's very little in the way of choices in that section of the map, but it feels great. You know, it's a very good track. It's a very nice track to drive and very nice roads to drive. I don't have a problem with that from the Rockstar verified Nürburgring. It's just this is my version of it really. So going back to the looping section that I mentioned, obviously, you know, we've traversed the middle part of the track twice. So we go past the start line, but we haven't actually hit the start line because we go off in a different direction. And that is the looping section that I was talking about. So basically, you know, half of the track is on one side and half of the track is on the other side. Now it's about, you know, 2.5 to 3 minutes on each half of the track, so you're going to have to be that far ahead before you could actually, you know, see anyone else on the track who's in a different place to you. But again, that plays into this sort of endurance race feel of it. If you do an endurance race, by the end of the race, obviously there's going to be people who are at different points of the track, and you will be seeing people in that middle section, you know, that section where you've got the river on the right, and that gets you back up the hill. That you will be seeing people at different points of the race on there if you do a longer race with it. And I think this track does have the potential to be very good on longer, more endurance like races. So yeah, you know, that obviously all of my tracks generally have a bit of a loop in them where you can see other people on different parts of the race and different parts of the track, and this one is no different. It's just a little bit bigger. Obviously everything's much bigger on this track, and it will take much longer before you can actually see anyone. So yeah, you know, as you can see there, the sun's going down, you get some really nice views. Obviously all of the props that I've put out are all proper racing props with the tyre barriers and things like that at the 2 hairpins on either side, and it's got a nice symmetry to it. So you go up through the middle, and that as you can see here, that's the middle section. You go up through there, and that allows you to get up the hill, and then you come down the hill on either side as well. So obviously this is the main difference to the main Nürburgring, is that you come here, and obviously as you come past this the checkpoint on the left there is always the potential that people will be coming from the other part of the race, and you'll be taking this whole long section together. So that is the North Loop, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to give it a go. You know, as with all my races, it's available for Xbox 360 and PS3. The links will be in the description down below. So all you have to do is click those, click add to game, and you'll be able to play this race. I would suggest, you know, doing a bit of a longer race with it, or maybe just do 1 lap first of all and see what you think about it. It is very similar to the Nürburgring, the Rockstar verified Nürburgring, but in my opinion it's a lot better because you're using the track much more effectively, and it has a better feel to it in terms of, you know, the looping section, and just the way that the track feels is a lot better to me, and it's basically how I feel the Nürburgring should have been. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Be sure to leave a like if you did. Let me know what you think about the race and when you give it a try, and thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time.